Today we're going to talk about how to stay healthy on the mat, which is probably one of the biggest issues jiu-jitsu guys struggle with. Now, if you want me to really break this down for you, guys, so this is the BJJ Four Leg podcast. I also turned this into a YouTube video. So I actually created a free resource where I'll send you daily emails and I'm going to go over one piece of staying healthy on the mat. So if you're interested, I'll put the link in the description. You can always join that. So the first thing we're going to talk about is strength training. Strength training is super undervalued, especially with jiu-jitsu guys, because yeah, getting strong is going to help with your performance, but strength training helps you stay healthy. It keeps your joints intact. It makes your body more resilient, more durable. The problem is like most guys have strength training before, so what happens is you just think how you do strength training, but there's a bunch of different ways to strength train, and you want to do it in a way that's going to not beat you up, that's going to allow you to build strength, build muscle, and become more resilient. So a few things to guide you in the right direction. A little work goes a long way. You don't need to be there every day. 2 or 3 days a week is probably plenty. A little goes a long way from an exercise standpoint. So you don't have to do a bunch of exercises. Go in there, hit 3 or 4 quality exercises, and you're going to be all set. And same thing with sets and volume. You don't have to do a bunch of sets. We want somewhat of an intensity there, but we usually kind of waive that. I'm going to go over that in a little bit. Um, we should focus on compound movements over isolation exercises. Not that we don't do isolation exercises, just like 80% of the stuff we do should be compound movements. We should focus on learn how to do the movements properly. We should focus on controlling the movement or our body. So if I'm doing a squat, I don't want to just drop into the hole. I want to control myself. And this is really important to probably stay healthy, build a resilient body, but this is going to transfer over really great to jiu-jitsu because you have to learn how to control your body in space and control other people. And if you do that with heavy weight, your performance is going to be really good and you're going to be very durable. So the second thing I want to go over is splits. Now, I come from been lifting for a long time, but for me, what I always like to do is upper lower splits. Um, and I love them. And the thing is, when you're training, just because you love it doesn't mean it's best for your clients or your clientele. I think for most people who do jujitsu, full body workouts are great. And I'm currently on a full body split. The reason for this is because you're not going to do a lot of work per muscle group, so the level of soreness and fatigue is very small. You might not even get sore. So you potentially are going to get stronger, become more muscular, become more durable without getting super sore. Now, if you do a split, you're basically attacking your lower body in one day. Next day, you're attacking your upper body, and sometimes this builds a lot of soreness and fatigue, which isn't ideal if you're excuse me, if you're trying to do jujitsu 6 days a week. So a full body split is usually very effective. Um, and if we really simplify it, we can just do it this way. I think it works. It's gonna work for 9% of the people. Is do something explosive to start with, then do a heavy lower body exercise like a squat or deadlift. Do a heavy upper body push like a push up or a press. Do a heavy upper pull like a chin up, row, lat pull down, and you're good. Especially if you're beginner, just do that. Do that for a while, and you're going to see awesome results. Now, if you're more advanced, you might want to add another superset, add another lower body exercise, add another upper body exercise. Maybe add some arm work or some core work at the end. Next thing I want to talk about is mobility. So being able to mobilize your body is really important. I hate doing mobility, to be honest with you. So like how I really focus on building resilient joints, having a decent range of motion. I'm not the most flexible guy, but I make sure I do a dynamic warm up. And during the dynamic warm up, it's really important to address these two issues. We need to open up the spine a bit, especially the upper part of the spine, because that's going to be really important for shoulder health. So things where it's hard to show in a video like this, but things where you kind of rotate your upper back. And what that's doing is that's going to rotate your T-spine, which is, again, really important for shoulder health. Um, and then being able to rotate through, open up the hips. So things like hip flexor stretches, couch stretches, split variations, stretching the glutes internally, stretching the glutes externally. Those things are going to be really important. And I like to add those to a quick warm up before my training. But it doesn't really matter where you do it. If you have time to do it before jiu-jitsu, I usually just don't have time. And the second thing that people don't think about is strength training through a large range of motion is going to build that mobility too. And what's really important with mobility when it comes to jiu-jitsu is that you want to be able to handle stress in a large range of motion, which is why I'm not a huge fan of yoga because it's one thing to build mobility and have these big ranges of motion, but if you're not durable and strong in these light ranges of motion, when someone puts you there, you're still going to get hurt. Which is why I'm a big fan of training through a large range of motion, doing exercises that require a large range of motion. So think of like elevated split squats, like Cossack squats, side lunges, um, full range like lat pull downs and chin ups. And this happens a lot. Like I love arm bars, and a lot of times, like to make the arm bar easy, you might fall back more towards the head. And a lot of guys just tap from shoulder pressure because they don't have any overhead range of motion or strength. So as soon as I get there, it's like it hurts their shoulder before it hurts their elbow. So that's how I build mobility. If you still need more mobility, I might do 1 or 2 mobility sessions for like 30 minutes addressing those areas. Another thing you can do is microdose it. If you have the time, you could do like 1 or 2 mobility exercises when you wake up, and then maybe you do one on your lunch break, and then you do like a couple when you watch TV at night. And if you do that daily, you're going to like build mobility up like that too. The next thing that we're going to go over is load management. So being able to handle stress. What's really important with jiu-jitsu and lifting weights is that if you go hard all the time, you're going to get hurt, you're going to get banged up. It's just a matter of time. So from a strength training standpoint, it's lost my train of thought. Yeah, so what I was trying to say is if you go hard all the time in the paint, it's going to be too stressful on the body. So it's really important that not every, especially if you train 6 days a week jiu-jitsu, like not every day you have to roll hard. If you lift weights, you don't have to max out all your sets. In getting good at like holding back a little bit, which is why I told you a little goes along with strength training. So a good way a a good way to do this is follow the high-low method, which means you have like a more intense day, then you have a lower intense day, and then you just alternate that through the week. So your lower intense day might be you might be actually training, or maybe that's a day off. So for example, you might go in the gym and roll pretty hard, and then you lift weights on that same day, and the next day maybe you take a rest day from the weight room, and then when you roll in, you just kind of chill. Maybe you work on a technique, work and open it up, and that will allow really good recovery because you're not going to stress the body so much. And when your body's under a ton of stress, that's tend that tends to happen when the injuries stop piling on. And then from a lifting perspective, think of things like we use these things. Personal trainers, strength coaches use these things called reps in reserve. So if you do a set of say 3 sets 8, how many reps could you have done if you kept going? So and we use this to manage intensity. So if you had 1 rep left, like truly 1 rep left, like that was a really, really hard set. If you had like 3, 4 reps, it's probably like a moderate set. So be be willing to go on the lower end when you're feeling really stressed out, when your body's hurting, if you have a lot of stress in other areas of your life. And the way I like to really program a lot of my workouts is the first week try to have a lower RPE when we first do a new program, and then each week we try to progress that a little bit, and then we'll reset next month. This kind of is a good way to periodize low intensity and then slowly build it up. So not every week we're crushing the weights. And then if you have an area that's kind of sensitive, it gets easily injured. Maybe just stay with a lower RP for the time being. So say a lot of guys have shoulder issues, like keep your bench press, dumbbell press like RP low for like a few months, and then a lot of times like you'll stop feeling better, and then over time you can increase that intensity. But sometimes people push those exercises constantly for years, and you have beat up shoulders, and it takes a little while to heal. Sorry that was like I kept hearing this beeping sound, and I had an alarm on my phone. I couldn't even hear it because I have these speakers plugged in. So the next one, pick up my son soon, so I'm gonna have to bang this out. So we can go jujitsu intentions. So it's important to have intentions in the when you're grappling, and this is actually gonna keep you pretty healthy. If you're always going in to the mats and you're trying to win competitions, and this is really hard to do. I definitely did this, and I probably still do it in some way. But having intentions where, hey, this day I'm gonna work on my A game. I'm gonna maybe roll hard because I got competition ready, or there's some really good guys I want to test myself. But you shouldn't do that every day. You should have days where like, okay, I need to open up. I want to work on it. I saw this coach show this new technique. I want to really try to develop that. And that's important too. And this is important for just jujitsu development too. Like having hard days and having days where you develop. Because if you always use your A game, always roll, it's hard to really build and expand your game. But from an intention standpoint, when you have intentions where I'm actually going to work my best techniques and I'm actually going to open up and try new things and I'm okay with getting a little beat up, what happens is you stop trying to win competitions and trying I'm sorry, you stop trying to win the rounds like in the practice room at class. And the reason why that's bad is because a lot of times when you do that, you're doing this from like a ego standpoint. Um, and what that often happens is like you're going to wait too long to tap to submissions. You're gonna push hard, then you're gonna get your elbow cranked, you can get your shoulder cranked, you're gonna get dropped on your head, you might get choked unconscious. Um, and if you have a better focus on that, your jiu-jitsu is going to get better, and you're probably not going to put yourself in these really vulnerable positions. Another thing, like when you're like this, sometimes to get out of these bad positions that someone puts you in, you people will do this the most awkward things, and they'll land, they'll twist their joints. You get these weird entanglements, and again, that's when injuries happen too. So if we have more intention with our jiu-jitsu, like I think a lot of guys are not going to get hurt so much. And I'll briefly talk about this. I think it's kind of the same thing as having control when you roll. Actually using technique, not using like these, not floating around like a fish when you're in a bad position, but actually learning technique. And obviously, this takes time because you have to build the technical skill. But the more control you have in your roles, and the more you can control your body. And a lot of people, it sounds kind of silly, but a lot of people can't control the body. And this is something people don't talk about with the benefits of strength training, is when you strength train and you learn how to move your body and control your body under great load, like a lot of weight, for reps, especially if you're controlling the descent, you're pausing, like you're gonna be able to control your body better in when you're rolling, and that's going to stop you from again maybe falling in these weird positions, getting these awkward entanglements where you twist your knee, twist your shoulder, and it's going to really avoid maybe some nasty injuries. Um, so the next one, and I'm going to combine them all because they're very similar, is probably your nutrition and your sleep. And sometimes people don't think about this stuff, but if you're in a calorie deficit or if you're not having quality nutrients, you're not getting enough protein, you're not getting enough carbs, you're not having any micronutrients from fruit and vegetables, and you're getting poor sleep, that's a form of stress, and you're just not giving your body the raw resources it needs to recover. So not only is your performance probably going to go down, and you might be like there might be a week where like people who never like kind of beat on you are starting to beat on you. Because probably because you're fatigued, maybe you're training too much, or maybe sometimes it's not that you train too much, but if you want to train too much, there's a cost to that, which means like you have to pay a little more attention to your nutrition. You have to make sure you eat enough calories, and which is why it's hard if you train jujitsu. Like I train 6 days of jiu-jitsu. Sometimes it's really hard to diet down if you're trying to lose fat or whatever. It's kind of hard to diet down because you'll feel the under recovery starting to happen. So make sure you eat enough calories. What I'd probably do to make it simple, if you're going to really dial this in, is go to tdee.com, Google it, and you can kind of figure out what your maintenance calories it probably is. It'll ask you a few questions, and then just start shooting the calories there. As far as protein's really important. Try to get 1 gram per pound of body weight. If you have a lot of weight to lose, say you're trying to lose weight, you could always go goal body weight. I usually try to spread that through maybe 3 or 4 meals. Um, I, and I've been in this like fitness for a long time. I will feel better if I get most of my protein sources from unprocessed. Not that protein shakes are bad, but it's just kind of my 2 cents with that. And carbs. Sometimes people come from like a diet background, and carbs are kind of demonized, right? But carbs are really essential for recovery. That's going to help you perform better. So especially having carbs around your workout and at night is going to be huge for jiu-jitsu guys. Because again, the carbs before and after is going to help with performance and recovery. The carbs at night help you sleep better. People don't know that, but when you eat carbs, you release serotonin, which kind of gets you sleepy. And people kind of unconsciously know that like if you eat a lot of like carb heavy foods, you don't really want to do much. And the last thing is like sleep. Prioritizing sleep, like a good rule of thumb is if you can try to get to bed before 10 p.m. Because they say the more sleep you can get before 12 a.m., the more restful, more effective it's going to be. And it kind of makes a lot of sense. Is like that's how we were probably raised, like not raised, but that's how we, what am I trying to say, evolved. We slept when it's dark. So if we're even if we're getting 8 hours of sleep, but if we're staying up to 2 in the morning, sleeping to 10 a.m., like it's not going to be the same versus like falling asleep at 9 or 10 p.m. So try to get those. And then if you can get like around 7 to 8 hours sleep, that's best. One quick tip, I think this is huge for me, is taking magnesium and vitamin D before you sleep. I just been doing vitamin D recently. I think it's helping a little bit, but magnesium definitely helps. And I get the one where you spray on your skin. I feel like it's so much more effective, and I always see a huge difference in my sleep when I don't take that. So those are my ways to stay healthy on the mat. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to leave that link to sign up for the free resource. So I'm basically going to go over all these things and probably some more things in the I think I'm going to call it BJJ Durable Masterclass. If you're looking for coaching, I'll put the link to my coaching link. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, if you have any questions, hit me up.